This is Super Soldiers by Adam Wate. Teaser, over black, super, the world has changed. As populations feared instability, disaster and war, they placed their trust in the only organization they could all trust. Fade in, exterior country road, day. Exterior country road day, a military convoy led by armored vehicles protecting Jeeps and Humvees thunder forward. All vehicles carry the badge of the United Nations and soldiers are all wearing blue helmets. Exterior Pueblo Refugio, Market Square day. Citizens go about their day walking and conversing. Fresh bread is being laid out on a display stand. School children walk past in groups on their way to school. Scooters and cars drive around the periphery in a one-way system slowly along a cobbled road. Main Street, continuous. The ground shakes, delicate pottery falls from shelves, smashing on impact with the floor. Rolling along, dominating the street is a military convoy coming to a slow stop. Soldiers disembark and immediately intimidate and surround the fearful citizens around them. Parents pick up their terrified children. One child is clutching a pink teddy. An attack helicopter swoops overhead. Citizens look in terror. It moves further over the town. A gleaming blank limo arrives. The nearest soldier rushes to open the rear door and out steps General Caulton, 50s, a smug sense of invincibility and disdain for everything as he surveys the street. He walks while everyone else stands reverently still. His eyes meet the child with the pink teddy. He turns away. Monument continuous. Caulton stops before the statue of the freedom fighter with a bronze plaque stating freedom from tyranny. He scoffs with a smug grin and turns to see two soldiers apprehending. Major Vasquez, 50s, desperately struggling, outraged.
You have no right to be being here. I had assurances we would have been left alone.
Caulton looks blankly into Vasquez's eyes.
Please leave. We're peaceful. Threat to no one.
Vasquez struggles more violently. He reaches for the sidearm of one of the soldiers. He's swiftly bashed on the head with a rifle butt. He falls to his knees.
You'll never get away with this. Empires always fall, mark my words. Even yours.
Caulton grins with a wicked smile. He turns to a nearby soldier, raises his chin and nods. They talk into the radio on their collar. The stationary battle tank rotates its turret and fixes its sights on the monument. Terrified, Major Vasquez looks at the tank, then to General Caulton.
No, please, no. There are innocent children.
Citizens scream and flee, trying to push past the soldiers in their vicinity. They are brutally apprehended. The battle tank fires. Caulton stands motionless during the blast. The statue is shattered, flames and smoke rising from its base behind him. His expression is bliss. Soldiers hold the citizens' heads towards Caulton and Vasquez. Caulton waves away the two soldiers holding Vasquez. He pulls out a pistol and points it at Vasquez, a collective gasp from the citizens.
This man has withheld the justice and protection of the United Nations to each and every one of you. I am here to carry out punishment on this criminal and to proudly welcome you all as citizens of the New World Order.
Citizens remain silent and despondent. Caulton looks down at Vasquez.
Savor the moment. You are the last non-citizen of the United Nations and are hereby sentenced to death.
Vasquez looks down. Caulton shoots Major Vasquez in the head. Screams from citizens.
To all of you, the world just became a much bigger place.
Soldiers drag citizens towards waiting armored vehicles. Children's cries overpower the screams. Mothers panic as their children are ripped from their arms, including the child with the pink teddy. Gunshots puncture the noise as some citizens break free and are gunned down. Exterior Pueblo Refugio outskirts day. Colonel Jaden Trace, 30s, looks forward with indifference to the rumble of armored vehicles and tanks coming from the town. He has a small group of bodyguards behind him. The black limo pulls up with Caulton inside. The windows come down. He looks at Jaden with disdain.
I want this town made an example of. Are your parade ground posers up to the task?
My soldiers never fail.
Caulton shakes his head with disdain. The window closes and the limo drives on.
How far from the target is Captain Sanchez's squadron?
15 seconds.
Good. Last resistance is up to us. Sorry, the last resistance to us as history.
Jaden puts on a pair of blacked-out sunglasses. The reflection of Pueblo Refugio is visible. Jet engines scream overhead, and a colossal explosion light up the black glasses. Fade to credits. Credit sequence. Act 1. Fade in. Begin montage. A sharp burst of light illuminates steep mountain range. In the center, a silhouette of a person. Bolts of thunder above a jungle. A large glow and shadowy figure runs into the foliage. A field of cattle at night. They all look at silhouette coming out of the large glow. Coconut trees sway violently, dropping coconuts. The shadowy figure walks from the water onto a beach. A shadowy figure steps forward out of the light, and in the distance, they see an Air Force base. End montage. Interior Military Command Room day. Communication officers furiously swipe at their screens.
Sir, I picked up an enormous energy reading off the chart.
There's more on my screen. I've counted 4, no, 5 worldwide. All appeared precisely at the same time.
Nuclear strikes?
No, sir. The energy readings surpass any comparable release from any nuclear warhead on the planet.
The officer leans in close to look at Operator 2's screen.
Probably a secret weapons test. Alert Colonel Trace. His base isn't too far from one of the blasts.
Exterior Pueblo Refugio outskirts day. Jaden is stood surveying the charred ruins of the town.
Is this all I have become? An instrument of tyrants?
Sir, UN Command is reporting a possible detonation from a weapons test close to base. They've said it's one of 5 worldwide.
Those analysts have lost their touch. They really think there would be a simultaneous detonation without our knowledge.
So what's going on, sir? Exterior Air Force Base day. A section of the perimeter fence is cut and twisted. 2 unconscious guards lie on the floor, unconscious outside a building with an open door. Armory continuous. A hand grabs grenades, bombs, and an assault rifle. A timer is set for 3 minutes next to a large pile of explosives. Through the door, a state-of-the-art fighter jet stands unguarded. The shadowy person inside exits. Exterior Hill Summit day. Lorelei, 15, beautiful, energetic, and impatient, is on a horseback, desperate to advance to a gallop instead of a trot. She looks back hopefully to get her wish to Maria, 40s, reserved and cautiously taking in her surroundings behind Lorelei. Something catches Lorelei's eye, and she stops the horse. She turns 90 degrees. Smoke stretches for miles above a town in the distance.
I know.
Mother, look over there. What do you suppose it is?
Pueblo Refugio.
Lorelei looks curiously at Maria, who coughs.
Probably a forest or grass fire. Nothing worth taking us off our route.
Lorelei snaps the reins and her horse goes forward.
Oh, come on, Mother. This is the first time we've been in each other's company for as long as I can remember. This could be an adventure. Come on, someone may need our help.
Lorelei, wait!
Exterior Air Force Base day. Parked armored vehicles, tanks, and guards on patrol. An arm flings an assault rifle into the cockpit of a fighter jet. Revealed Jason Reiter, 15, cool as ice and surveying his surroundings as he places his leg into the cockpit while holding a detonator. He presses the button. Begin montage. Soldiers are flung by large explosions close to them. Vehicles parked explode in large fiery blasts. Control tower blows up with glass shattering. The fighter jet zooms down the runway and takes off while the base burns. End montage. Interior armored vehicle cabin day. Jaden is fidgeting and is deep in thought, worried. He is hovering his finger above a radio, then pressing down firmly.
Paz, any update from base?
Can't get any answers, sir. I'm trying all channels. The horizon lowers and the burning Air Force Base comes into view miles away. Shock replaces impatience on Jaden's face. An approaching sound resembles thunder. Jaden leans up on his seat, looking more intensely.
What the?
A spray of machine gun fire approaches and bounces violently off the bulletproof glass and hull. Jaden and the driver instinctively crouch. The fighter jet screams past over the vehicle. Jaden leaps forward and hammers down on the radio button.
Hostile in the air. Repeat, hostile in the air. Authorize Captain Sanchez squadron to engage immediately.
Interior Jason's cockpit day. Jason looks towards his radar to see a cluster of blips. New hostiles, 0 probability of evading, switching to engage and destroy. He abruptly turns the fighter. Interior Sanchez cockpit day, Sanchez 30s assured and flicks buttons on his control panel.
Target spotted. Wings lock on and fire on my mark.
Exterior Sanchez fighter jet day, the squadron of 4 behind him is in formation and they all fire a missile each. Exterior highway day, Jaden looks at Jason's aircraft and is uncomfortable at what he's seeing.
Why doesn't he maneuver?
Interior Jason's cockpit day, alarms are ringing and red lights flashing. Jason is calmly looking forward. 10 seconds to impact. 9, 8, 7, 6. Fire missile. The missile zooms forward and collides with the oncoming missiles, causing a large explosion which overtakes the cockpit. Interior Sanchez cockpit day. Sanchez is smug.
Oh, that was easy. What?
Explosive cloud is punctured by Jason's fighter. It maneuvers and barrel rolls, firing a duo of missiles. Sanchez looks to his side to see his wingmen scatter, but the missiles hit their targets, causing 2 explosions. Exterior highway day, Jaden sees the explosions. He turns with fury to Paz and his nervous bodyguards.
Pull up the anti-aircraft battery now!
Paz is hesitant. He takes a moment to summon up courage to respond. Sir, there's a risk of hitting our fighters. Jaden turns to see another of the fighters being shot down. He takes a deep breath to calm himself.
We will have none left by the time it's deployed. Find out who the hell is this guy.
A large explosion engulfs another fighter in the distance. Interior Jason's cockpit day. Jason remains cold and calculating, unflinching despite alarms, and in close proximity to other jets. No more missiles. Ammo low. 1 option remaining. He rams forward the thrust lever. Interior Sanchez cockpit day. Sanchez is panicking. He's looking around, fretting. And that is the end of our excerpt. Okay, I'm going to let you go first, John, because I know you've got a few thoughts on this.
Yeah. I see it with potential, Adam. I do see there's potential there. But with the tank, if you've ever been anywhere near a tank, when it fires, there's an incredible amount of air that is moved. Same with the explosion. So your general wouldn't be told bolt upright and looking all smug. It just literally wouldn't happen. It would blow him off his feet. Unless he was behind the tank. I personally don't think when you introduce us to the main street that you need to, the market square, that you need to put all this fresh bread displaying out display. You've got to leave something for the director to do. He'll have an imagination. Just let him use it. Same with the main street thing. I'm sorry, I'm just pinning through this as I left my notes somewhere else. Not very well thought out today. Good characters. I like the characters. Can you come back to me? I've got to find where it was.
Of course. Sharon.
Yeah, it's, know your military stuff, like John said. I'm not military background, so I wouldn't have known that either. So, maybe asking somebody like John who knows what, how things work and reactions that you get from tanks firing off and stuff like that. But yeah, I like the characters. It could work. But like you said, leave things to people's imagination, and the director as well. You know what I mean? Then it's show don't tell. So I suppose you would have say where the street is based, and it's a typical street maybe, and that's enough. That then leaves enough for the director to then put his own little twist on things as well, how he wants it. I know as writers you have your own ideas of how you want it to look, but depending on locations that's not always possible as well. So leave a little bit of leeway on location wise and actual settings and stuff. But no, other than that, I'm not a war fan as per se of war films and that sort of stuff, but it could definitely work. And yeah, there's some interesting characters in there.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Rachael.
Yeah, also not like a sort of war film fan, but I think it's got potential. I like that it opens with action scenes. There's a lot of times sometimes when we do this feedback where an action scene comes later and we're constantly saying to people, put that at the start, get us hooked, and you've done that, so that's great. I think it's a nice intro to the Caulton character, that he sort of says nothing to begin with, just gives him an air of power, which is nice. Like that we see Lorelei and her mother with the horse bit. It's a sort of slight gives us a bit of that sort of light and dark ebb and flow, that we cut to them quickly and have their little conversation, that it's not just all constant blowing up and war and everything. I think the audience likes seeing someone smug and then something going wrong. They like that. So I think, like John says, maybe put them behind the tank or something like that, because I think that would be a shame if that sort of character bit was missed out. It could do with a couple of just little edits here and there. So page 6, you'd written unconscious twice, for example, in your little description of them. Just little bits and bobs like that aren't a big deal, but just maybe get someone else to look over it that's not written it, because they'll spot things like that easier than you might when you've been in the story and writing it yourself. I enjoyed it. I think it's got potential, and I agree that it's a nice sort of mix of characters so far as well. I'd like to see where it goes. I'm not sure where it's heading at the minute. So.
Oh, thank you. John, are we good to come back to you?
Yeah. At the beginning of Act 1, you have sharp burst of light illuminates a steep mountain range. In the centre, a silhouette of a person. The next bit of the montage, large, low, shadowy figure runs into the foliage. They all look at the silhouette coming out of a large glow. This whole section gives the impression that there's 5 or 6 people there. Especially the last line where it says, they see an Air Force base. This gives the impression of, as I say, Adam, 5 or 6 people. If they're all the same person, give him his name. It avoids all confusion. Jason is here, Jason is there, Jason is there. If you're going to do the montage like that. But if you give them all different locations, it looks like you've got 5 or 6 people there. Second, I really don't think this is a war film per se. I've got a feeling this is a bit of sci-fi going on here. Especially with the 5 detonations at exactly the same time. Because it doesn't matter how good you are, you couldn't physically detonate everything in 5 places at the same time, unless everybody was connected to the atomic clock. And that would be very, very, very expensive. But no, even if they were by radio, there's delay in transmissions and all sorts of things. But I've got a feeling there's a little bit of sci-fi in here. So yes, but I definitely want to see where it's going. And I would really look forward to reading more of it, please, Adam.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to say what we always say, which is where and when, because I'm assuming, I'm just scrolling back, the world has changed, it says. I'm assuming this is what I would call the very near future. So I would say that actually in my super. And I think you need to be really tight. If you want to have a super on screen that people are going to read, you're going to have it really tight. And you've got mixed tenses here, and you've got 2 incidents of the word trust. And I'm sorry if I'm being pedantic about this, but it's not like in the rest of the script you can get away with it's not going to be seen on screen. The super's there, bang, in your face, you're reading it. So you want it really tight. And kind of rewrote that. Sorry, Adam, but and I just put the world has changed. Fearing instability, disaster, and war, countries have turned to the only organization they could all trust. Because you said the world has changed, great. As populations feared instability, disaster, and war, they placed their trust in the only organization they could all trust. You don't need to say trust twice. So you need to find another way of saying that so that it flows. And that way, as soon as that's like your signal that, okay, I know what I'm doing. You know, get that absolutely spot on, and they'll go, oh, okay, I'm going to read on here. So for me, every sentence really should then be viewed in that way. And I'm sorry, I am being pedantic, aren't I? I've written, I like the dynamic of it. The pacing is really good. I would like to know where we are. It is an implication is that we're in Central America or Latin America or South America with Pueblo Refugio. I'm assuming we are somewhere like that. I think I need more than just Pueblo Refugio. Where are we? So then, what do I put? So we have essentially a secretly emerging totalitarian authority that we're calling the United Nations. I'm worried about that because the United Nations puts themselves up as the good guys. So whether or not they are ultimately is another matter. But I would be tempted to call it something else and not call it the United Nations or base it on the United Nations. If nothing else, just prevent yourself being sued by the United Nations at some point in the future when they say, no, we wouldn't do that. So you just have to be a little bit cautious about that. Then really the only other couple of things that really stand out is Jaden and Jason have very similar names. I would change one of them just to make it very clear that they are different characters. It's very easy when you're reading a script to read a Jason and a Jade and as the same name, especially if you read fast. Jason is very young to be flying a fighter jet. And if, as John says, there's an element of sci-fi in this, you could probably get away with that, unless he's flying it on some, his computer screen, as it were, and not really there at all. I don't know, but he is very young. The only other thing, really, I like the way you, as I said, I love the way you paste it. Oh, yes. A gleaming black limo, and you said blank, so I think you mean black limo arrives. Personally, going into that situation, you've got a tank, you've got military aircraft. That's not going to be a limo. That's going to be an armored car. And yeah, they're never going to send a straightforward limo in. He's not going to be safe in that.
It's going to be one of them 4x4 off-road vehicles.
Yeah. My only other thing is just little things about how you word things, really, which are very easily resolved. One of those, I've got grins with a wicked smile, page 2. He grins with a wicked smile. You don't really need any of that at all, Then there's another one. What else have I got? Oh, the silhouette, the shadow, the shadow person, the silhouette in the montage. We need a name for that person. We need to identify who that person is. It's not a novel. Don't leave it till later, because we need to know, who are we casting for this? Is it male? Is it female? Is it all points in between? Is it alien? Is it animal? We need to know what that is, who that is. And there was something else. Page 6, I've got a note for page 6. And this is just a general note. I think you just need to go through and just do like a really tight edit on it. Page 6, I just made a note just because it just jumped out at me. Jaden is stood surveying the charred ruins of the town. I can kind of see it why you wrote that, because you wrote that and as you were thinking about it, but in actual, You know, it's very easy when you're writing to see what's happening in your head and write down, oh, he stood standing. But in actual fact, why don't you just say Jaden surveys the charred ruins of the town and make life easy for yourself? You know, I mean, it's about being concise with your language and your descriptions, really. It's forward fast, move forward fast. That's it, really. I don't think I've got anything else. I would take out things like, on that same page, you've got Sergeant Paz, you've got exterior Pueblo outskirts day. Jaden stands surveying the charred ruins of the town, then he speaks. Sergeant Paz in a rush salutes, that's fine. Then you have Sergeant Paz, and then Jaden shakes his head. I mean, in actual fact, when you have a character responds in that way, it's usual to put that underneath the character's name. So that he does that whilst he's speaking. So you would have that as coming off, they said it's 1 of 5 worldwide, then you'd have Jaden brackets, shakes his head, those analysts have lost their touch. So that's usual to put that tiny little bit of action that is married to the dialogue, as it were, like that. And again, it saves you space on the page insofar as you don't have quite so many line breaks, but also it makes it tighter and makes it look like you know what you're doing. Yeah, that's it, really. Anything else from anyone? I've been picky. I'm sorry, Adam. I know you'd want me to be, though. Fab. Nothing else? Brilliant. Okay, would be great to see where this is going. Like John said, would be good to know what's happening next.